At the beginning of our movie today, we are introduced to two men named Leland Jones and William Arthur. We see them leaving their hotel room very calmly, but it seems that what happened in the hotel had nothing to do with calmness at all. It also appears that they are in the United States of America. One of them says he will go pay the room bill before they leave. We understand that the two are traveling together in this car. We also notice that Leland is over 50 years old, while William is still in his 20s. After Leland leaves the hotel room, Arthur asks him why he was so late. Leland tells him he had a problem with room service, but he has now resolved the issue. When Leland asks for a drink, he opens the car and finds it empty. He tells Arthur to go to the hotel office and fill the bottle from their water cooler. When Arthur enters the office in peace to fill the bottle, he finds a handprint on the office table. The hotel clerk is sitting in his chair, covered in blood. We see the cleaning lady dead on the floor, also covered in blood. As Arthur is filling the bottle, he sees a little girl opening the door between the office and the hallway. As soon as she sees the scene, she is terrified. Arthur points to his mouth and tells her to be quiet. Then he pulls out his gun and shoots her calmly. In the next scene, we meet Tom Stahl, the owner of a small diner in a village. We also meet Edie. We learn that they have children, including a 16-year-old son named Jack and a 10-year-old daughter named Sarah. From their daily routine, we notice how much Tom and Edie love each other very much. They love their home and their family and are very grateful for their lives. When Tom goes to the diner, we find that all the people in the diner know each other. They greet each other and call each other by their names. This, of course, shows us how very small this village is and that all the people in it know each other. The village looks exactly like America, but on a smaller and more local scale. In the next scene, we learn that Jack plays baseball on the school team. We see him catch the ball and end the match. Bobby Singer, the school bully, comes to bully him while he is in the locker room changing his clothes after the match. Bobby tries to bully Jack again and also provokes him to fight, but Jack makes fun of him and escapes from this fight. At night, Bobby and a girlfriend are driving in the car and they seem very bored. They are looking for something to entertain themselves with. With their rotten personalities, it seems that the thing they will entertain themselves with is trouble. While they are in the car, they see Jack and his girlfriend, Judy Danvers, sitting on the side, smoking a marijuana cigarette. They decide to go and annoy them, but as they are driving, they almost have an accident and hit a truck. Bobby wants to start a fight with the people in the car, but gets scared immediately when he sees the look on their faces. We find that the people in the car are Leland and Arthur. They look at the young people in the car with a frightening look, as if they want to tell them, "You are playing with your lives." Then Arthur talks about how fed up he is with people of this type. In the next scene, Leland and Arthur go to Tom's diner. They enter at the time the diner is closing. Leland calmly orders a cup of coffee and a piece of pie. Tom replies and tells them that they have already closed. Leland yells and tells him, "I don't care. I want coffee anyway." Tom agrees so as not to lose his customers and tries to manage the situation as best he can. He tells Charlotte, who works with him, to take her things and go home. But as Charlotte is leaving, Arthur grabs her and forces her to sit on the chair. Tom assumes they are thieves and tries to save what can be saved. He suggests they take the money from the safe and leave quietly. At that moment, Leland raises his gun and tells him that he will take the money. He tells Arthur to kill Charlotte. For a moment, Leland's attention is distracted. In the same moment, Arthur attacks Charlotte. Tom grabs the coffee pot and throws it in Leland's face. He jumps over the table and knocks him to the ground. The gun falls from his hand. Tom runs to get Leland's gun. Arthur shoots at Tom, but the bullet misses him. Tom leans on the chair and shoots him with the gun 3 times in the chest. At that moment, Leland gets up and pulls out the knife he has with him and stabs Tom in the leg. Tom shoots him with a bullet in the head, killing him instantly. At that time, the press treats Tom as a hero and covers the events that happened. When they ask to do an interview with him, he refuses and goes to the hospital. Then he finds his story written on the front page of the newspaper and spread on local channels. Fortunately, the injury in his leg is minor and he rests for 2 days because it is very difficult for him to move with his injured leg. A few days later, we see Tom working in the cafe. Then we find 3 men wearing suits and looking uncomfortable entering the cafe. We notice that the cafe is now full of customers. The men in suits look like they are not locals. They sit at a table and one of them, wearing a suit and sunglasses, talks to Tom. He orders a cup of coffee and calls him Joey several times. Tom keeps telling him that this is not his name and that he must be confusing him with someone else, but he insists that he knows very well who he is. At that moment, Edie, Tom's wife, gets annoyed by their comments and insists that they take their order and leave. The man gives Tom a $100 bill and tells him, "We paid the bill and are now your customers." When Edie threatens to call the police, the men back off and leave. Then we see them driving on the road, and a police car comes from behind them and makes them pull over. Officer Sam Carney is a seasoned officer, and he seems very serious, but the men in the car, especially their leader, are completely uninterested in his threats. He tells him, "We are tourists here, officer." On this day, Sam visits Tom and Edie and talks about this incident. Sam warns them and says that these men are gang members and that they commit many murders on the East Coast. He tells them that he called acquaintances in Philadelphia and the FBI, but could not find any information about them or any criminal record under the name they called Tom. But Richard, their leader, he found out lives in Philadelphia and that the men with him have been working with him for a while. But since then, these men have started to watch Tom and follow him and his family everywhere. A few days later, after Tom sees their car driving towards his house, he runs to his house with his leg hurting. He enters the house and grabs his rifle, but he discovers that no one has gone to the house at all. On another day, Edie is shopping at the mall and her daughter wanders away from her. She goes after her to look for her. There, she finds Carl Fogarty, the gang leader, who starts talking to Edie very familiarly. He tells her that her husband is not what she thinks he is and that he is hiding the truth from her. Edie immediately starts defending Tom. Fogarty simply suggests that she ask Tom herself about Richie Cusack, who is Tom's brother according to Fogarty, and she should ask Tom how skilled he is at killing people. At that time, on the same day, Jack, Tom's son, finds Bobby coming to bother him again and not leaving him alone. Jack gets angry and has had enough of the amount of bullying he is subjected to. He hits Bobby and his friend and even sends him to the hospital. Here we see how Jack was able from the beginning to overpower Bobby, but he was holding himself back. When Jack returns home after school, he and Tom get into a fight about what happened after Jack injured the boy. Tom tells him that Tom himself killed 2 people with a gun, so he should be the last one to advise him. Tom slaps him, and Jack runs away from home. After a while, Tom finds Fogarty's car parked in front of his house, and he and his men get out of the car. He goes out to confront them, but they suggest that he put his rifle aside and go with them. When Tom refuses, one of the men opens the car door and pulls out Jack. Fogarty tells him clearly that he knows Tom's truth very well, and that Tom now has no other choice but to get in the car with them. They will return to Philadelphia to meet important people. Thus, Tom is forced to throw away his weapon, and the men release Jack in return. Jack runs to the house. When the men tell Tom to get in the car, Tom suggests that they leave quietly. One of the men raises his gun to Tom's head. Edie is watching what is happening from the window upstairs. She sees Tom grab the man's arm and break it. Then he punches him in the nose several times. He shoots the other man twice in the chest. It is clear that Tom knows very well how to use a gun. Then Fogarty shoots Tom in the shoulder, causing the gun in Tom's hand to fall. He goes and stands in front of Tom, who is lying on the ground, and he's angry. He asks him if he has any last words he wants to say. Tom looks at Fogarty and says, "I should have killed you back in Philadelphia." At that moment, Fogarty smiles and says, "You're right." At that moment, Jack calmly grabs Tom's rifle and kills Fogarty before he can shoot Tom. Then Tom looks at his son with a look that confirms that Tom had lived a completely different life when he was in Philadelphia. He takes the gun from Jack, angry, but then hugs him, happy with what his son did to save him at the last moment. At the same time, he tries to comfort him because Jack is shocked by what happened and starts to cry. At night, Edie confronts Tom while he is in the hospital. She begs him to confess the truth to her while she is crying. She tells him that she saw him kill Fogarty's men with his own hands and that he was acting like a professional. Tom confesses to her that when he was a teenager, he used to work for a gang and his name was Joey Cusack, but he left the gang life years ago after a problem occurred between him and Fogarty. We later learn that he is a crazy man known for being cruel, and no family was safe from his harm. But Tom decided to leave this life behind him and become a new man. He decided to change his name to Tom Stahl. He tells Edie that he used to kill for pleasure and for money. Although Edie is shocked by these confessions and cannot believe that her husband turned out to be someone other than the one she knows. But later, she defends Tom. When Officer Sam comes to their house the next day to ask them more questions about Fogarty, he tells them that these men are very secretive and that that it is impossible for them to have traveled so far from Philadelphia to here unless they were sure they were looking for the right man. Here, Tom is about to confess that he is Joey Cusack, the one the gang is looking for. But Edie suddenly intervenes and defends Tom. Sam takes his things and leaves after he doesn't get anywhere. But as he stands at the door, he wags his finger, and we understand that he knows they are lying or trying to hide something from him. After Sam leaves, Edie moves away from Tom, unable to stand him. She slaps him and yells and calls him by his old name, Joey. She tells him that she hates him. Tom fights with her and pushes her towards the stairs, but in the end, they reconcile. At night, Tom wakes up to a call from Richie himself. Richie threatens him and says, "Are you going to come meet me, or do I have to come?" Tom changes his clothes and leaves at dawn. He takes the car and drives it day and night until he finally arrives in Philadelphia. He meets a young man in a bar there. Then this young man takes Tom to a huge mansion. There, Tom meets a man wearing luxurious clothes, self-confident, and it seems that he is very happy to finally see his little brother again. Then they talk a little about Tom's new life. Richie starts telling Tom about the many problems and compensations he had to pay to the gang because of the big problems Joey caused before he disappeared. Tom doesn't want to have anything to do with this gang life. He asks Richie to get straight to the point and tell him what he wants from him exactly to correct the situation. Richie calmly replies, "It would be better for everyone if you died, Joey." Then he turns around so he doesn't see the driver strangling his little brother, Joey, and trying to kill him. But Joey anticipates these moves and puts his hand between his neck and the wire. He backs up and puts his foot on Richie's desk. He kills the driver and the other bodyguards in the room with them, all of this with his bare hands. When Richie tries to shoot him, the bullet misses him. Then Joey escapes. Richie thinks he escaped from the main door, so he goes after him and goes outside. But then we find that Joey is in the house and closes the door on him, trapping him outside. He goes inside to kill the last of Richie's men before leaving. At that moment, Richie takes out his keys to open the door, but he finds Joey has opened the door and shoots him in the head. In the next scene, Tom returns home and finds his family sitting at the table, about to have dinner. He looks like he has returned from outside, tired. He sits at the table, and Sarah, his daughter, brings him a plate and puts it in front of him to eat with them. Edie bows her head as she prays. Jack sits at the table with his parents and can't say a single word. Finally, Edie raises her head, her eyes tearing up. Tom looks at her sadly. The two of them look at each other in a way that shows that their relationship has finally improved. And here, the events of our story today end. Wait for me in new videos and summaries. Goodbye.